Tonight, with power cuts still rampant, PURC is pointing accusing fingers at the ECG, accusing it of blatant violation of a presidential directive to pay power producers an agreed $43 million each month to avoid the accumulation of debt and the shutdown of the plants.
The government team has reached commercial agreements on headline terms for the restructuring of power purchase agreements and arrears with AXA, Amandi, Power, Senate, and Early Power, which will result in total expected savings in excess of $9.1 billion. EG has been able to secure a fixed monthly energy purchase price with all the IPPs.
We have the latest on the raging feud between the utility regulator and the ECG in the midst of widespread complaints about erratic power supply across the country.
Here, in particular, it caused a lot of was a low productivity because during the evening, when we're supposed to have light to work, before I realize light is off. We are there, boom, off. Unexpected, boom, off. Before I realize it's spoiling our things.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
The Electricity Company of Ghana and the government have both been emphatic Dumsor is not back. But there are still widespread public complaints about erratic power supply across the country. The concerns have tonight been heightened by revelations in the latest report by the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission that ECG violated a directive by the president for it to remain current in settling its bills to independent power producers. The PURC report says ECG violated the guidelines for the cash waterfall system mechanism that was set up to ensure that all players in the power production, transmission, and distribution chain receive what they are due and on time. In fact, President Akufo-Addo was emphatic in the last State of the Nation address last month that the arrangement has been fully complied with by the ECG.
Between 2012 and early 2017, there was nothing more demoralizing than the phenomenon. It was symptomatic of a dysfunctional system, and it caused widespread depression amongst businesses and households. After that experience, my government was determined that Dumsor would not be inflicted upon Ghana and Ghanaians under an MPP government. The government team has reached commercial agreements on headline terms for the restructuring of power purchase agreements and arrears with AXA, Amandi, Power, Senate, and Early Power, and is finalizing remaining definitive documentation of such terms, which will result in total expected savings in excess of $9.1 billion over the lifespan of the IP projects. In the meantime, EG has been able to secure a fixed monthly energy purchase price with all the IPPs. This has led to a monthly payment of $43 million United States dollars instead of the $77 million United States dollars.
And the PURC is tonight actually telling us in this report that this directive that the president was confident about hasn't been complied with. We'll get clarity from the ECG pretty shortly. And my colleague Kofi Ajay joins me with details of this particular cash waterfall report. And Kofi, let's put it in context. So what was the period for this report that the PURC covered, and how much did they say that the ECG managed to rake in terms of revenues? Because it's from that they have to pay.
Yeah, so according to the report, Evans, January 2024 payments were based on invoices submitted for November 2023. The total ECG revenues reported for January 2024 was 820.4 million Ghana cedis, which is about $68.59 million.
Okay, and then this was what they then have to take and then distribute. Give the IPPs their due, which was the president was talking about, $43 million to them. Tell us, how did the ECG distribute this according to the PURC?
So ECG deducted 512.835 million Ghana cedis, approximately $43 million, just like the president said, to be paid to 6 level A IPPs. The remaining 307.615 million Ghana cedis, $25.72 million, was then allocated to SOEs, regulators, and some embedded generators within the ECG network in level B.
Okay, so the monies were indeed allocated. But PURC says ECG failed to pay what was allocated and what they actually raised to go to the IPPs.
So according to the PURC, instead of 6 IPPs, payments were made to only 4 beneficiaries under the level A beneficiaries. So for the month of January 2024, Evans, instead of ECG paying 512.835 million,
which had been allocated.
Absolutely, 43 million. They only paid 120 million Ghana cedis, $10 million.
Okay, they were supposed to pay 43 million.
43 million.
But they only paid $10 million.
$10 million. That's according to the PURC. So according to the PURC, ECG...
And this is a quote.
Absolutely. It says ECG's non-compliance to the President's directive led to the shortfall of 394.383 million Ghana cedis. That's approximately $33 million to level A beneficiaries. So it says that, and if you do the analysis, this simply means that about 77% of the scheduled monthly payment for January 2024 has not been honored.
Is it the first time the ECG is defaulting according to the PURC?
So we've been digging and combing the PURC's website, and we've been tracking their validated reports since August 2023. And we can confirm that this is the first time ECG has failed to pay all 6 level A IPPs under the revised cash waterfall mechanisms. And I am looking at the table right now. In August 2023, ECG made a total revenue of 1 billion, net revenue of 1 billion Ghana cedis. And just like the president said, they paid $43 million to the IPPs, and it's been following through since August.
That is an interesting point, considering the conclusion of PURC, and we'll come to the conclusion very shortly, because the PURC claims that the ECG has been defaulting since August.
Yeah.
But before we get there, though, we've talked about the IPPs. What about ECG's obligations to others in the power chain, VRA, Gridco, and others? Because I read in this report, the PURC again says the ECG again violated the president's directive here too.
So there are 2 categories under the cash waterfall mechanism. So the level A are usually the IPPs. Level B, you are talking about the SOEs and other embeds in the ECG power enclave. And so according to the PURC, disbursement of the net revenues reported by ECG were not in accordance, just like you said, with the approval allocation percentage submitted to ECG for November 2023. They say since August 2023, ECG has not complied with the guidelines of the new cash waterfall mechanism as directed by the president.
And they give the breakdown here.
Absolutely.
I mean, they were supposed to pay the rest of the players in the chain, VRA, Gridco, and others, a total of 307 million CDs. According to the PULC, they only paid them 862 million CDs.
Absolutely. So if you look at what the PURC also said, they say that this defeats the principles of fair and equitable revenue allocation to sector players under Level B, as approved by the Cash Waterfall Mechanism Standing Committee in line with the revised Cash Waterfall Mechanism guidelines. Okay,
and this is the conclusion I was pointing at, and thankfully we can speak to the MD of the ECG, who will join us pretty shortly, and it concludes by saying, quote, it is to be noted that since August 2023, ECG has not complied with the guidelines of the new cash waterfall mechanism as directed by the president. This defeats the principle, which is the point you're making there, an equitable revenue allocation to sector players under Level B. And it concludes by saying the Commission wishes to encourage ECG to cooperate and allow the cash waterfall mechanism to function. So the accusation here is that the ECG has conspired somehow to ensure that the cash waterfall mechanism is not functioning according to plan. Thankfully, joining me on Zoom right now is the MD of the Managing Director of the Electricity Company of Ghana, Mr. Samuel Dubik Mahama, joins us now. Thank you very much, Mr. Mahama, for your time here on Top Story.
Thank you, Evans.
So, PURC is very clear that you have failed to comply with the guidelines, and this is in direct breach of the President's directives to you. How do you respond?
The first thing is, this is the second time I hate to do this, but this is the second time I'm coming across a report where at least there should have been a response, a management response, or something that should have been captured there, but don't leave it as open as it has been left to cast aspersions as if there's something funny going on. These things are becoming one too many, and they are a bit demoralizing, and they don't speak well. As the regulator, if you are about to embark on a validation report, at least you need to have a word with the person you are validating. I'm glad you guys said we have not defaulted when it came to the IPPs. Now,
are you suggesting you were not your views were not sought in the compilation of this report?
Evans, if I was sought properly, you would have a certain letter that was written by ECG to every individual IPP for the month of January, that we declared the month of January the Forex Reconciliation Month. Under the IMF and the World Bank conversation, it was said that you cannot accrue any form of arrears going forward. Forex losses are what? Arrears. So, I think I have sent you a copy of those letters.
Yes, I've seen them because you sent it to me.
I wrote to every single IPP and asked them to send a team over for us to do the Forex reconciliation. After the Forex reconciliation, the amounts were established as to what to pay them. Again, some of them do, even though they prefer the dollars, some, because of their local operations, they take some of the money in CDs and some parts in what? Dollars. So there's always a Forex loss. They came to the table, we calculated, but let's note one thing. Do you think ECG will default on the IPPs and all IPPs will keep quiet? It is surprising, and somehow it's quite hurtful when you're doing your best, yet it's being seen that you are not actually complying with stuff. What do you say has not complied with the president's directive in a validation report? What are you trying to achieve? Because if you had sat with everybody within the chain, they would have told you exactly what has transpired.
The documents you shared with me,
So
didn't you share the documents you shared with me? Did you not share it with the PURC as part of this project to compile the report?
That's why I'm asking you. I don't want. You know what? In truth, I shouldn't even be speaking to this. I shouldn't. But these things are becoming one too many, and they're a bit demoralizing.
But bottom line, though,
They're a bit demoralizing. No, so let's go on. Let's go on and finish.
I mean, you make
so
the point.
Now what they are calling a shortfall, no such shortfall exists. Now, why doesn't these shortfalls exist? Myself, my team, we sat down with the IPPs. AXA on every invoice has a 60 days variance on an invoice, that this invoice being presented to you, you have within 60 days to pay. Amandi has 30 days. Senate has 30 days. Asogli 1 has 40 days. Asogli 2 has 50 days. Car Power has 60 days. Now, under the IMF and the World Bank, and this was just smart thinking by the team, myself, with the concurrence of the board, and also I actually did notify the then finance minister. And I also, it's so this shortfall on my side, if I don't see it as a shortfall, why is PURC recording it as a shortfall?
If you don't see it as a shortfall, what do you call it then? Because you haven't paid them in full. Have you paid them in full for January?
Yes. No, it's because I had to settle their what? Forex losses. So I don't know if you get my point.
Yeah, I lost you for a few seconds there. You had to settle their foreign losses.
Yeah, forex losses, because the forex losses is part of their bill.
So you want to settle the forex losses first before you clear the rest of what you owe them?
No, you don't get my point. I just said to you, there is a 60 days invoice gap for every invoice that is sent. So if your invoice is due now, okay, if your invoice is due now, that means if you present me with an invoice, let's say AXA presents me with an invoice today, I have within 60 days to settle that invoice. Do you get it?
That roughly 2 months.
Yes, but now, under the new cash waterfall and the new IMF and World Bank regulations, they said we cannot carry on any arrears. So with the renegotiations we've done, we have to pay them month by month per what we've agreed. But then when you are doing it month by month, you will accrue forex losses because of the CD. Do you get it?
Yes, and you want to reconcile that in January.
Yes, so which then means that if I reconcile that in January, then now I have brought everybody down to a 30-day gap on each invoice. So at every given point in time, there will be a 30. This is just an operational system that was agreed at the table with all IPPs. Because Evans, you know, if IPPs are not paid, the noise that they would make. If I had defaulted, the World Bank would have seen it as a default.
But this is in reference to January. But the PURC goes beyond that. It says it is to be noted that since August 2023, ECG has not complied with the guidelines of the new CWM.
Now you see, again, that is also not true. You see, on point 2.2 on the Ministry of Finance top up, the question you need to ask is, why the top up? They are 200 million. ECG in December wrote a letter to the then Minister for Finance saying, looking at what is happening and the trends going on, there's going to be a shortage of fuel. Can the ministry support with X, Y, and Z amount in fuel? The minister complied and said, yes, I will give you that said amount. So make the requisite arrangements. ECG went ahead to make the requisite arrangements and procured the fuel. So when you say even procured, what we are told is what we do. We are not fuel experts. If a power plant needs a certain fuel or a certain kind, the instructions come and then we deal with it as such. If they say we haven't complied, then I'm going to assume that because certain amounts of monies were used to buy fuel, that means they didn't receive exactly the amounts of monies that they were expecting. Not so.
And who was supposed to make up for that shortfall?
The Ministry of Finance is supposed to pay back that money to ECG, and then ECG then what? Distributes it to who? All the interested parties.
So you say this is not your fault. Yes, you say yes, there has been a shortfall, but it's not your fault. That's that what you're saying?
Exactly my point. So if you make certain categorical statements that ECG has not complied with the president's directive, now fine. Speaking of the president's directive that we are talking about, if these are the answers, does it mean that we have negligently or willfully decided? Come on, let's be fair.
You think the PURC is not being fair to you?
Yes, some of the words in this validation report, and some of these are all truths. And as I explained the thing to you, you've understood me. Are you not comfortable? Have they spoken to the IPPs to find out if the IPPs are comfortable with the new arrangement? It's getting difficult by the day. It's getting difficult by the day. And it's really, really getting sad because we are all supposed to sit around the table. We are all supposed to work for the Republic. But it looks like the more you try, the less appreciated you are.
You almost suggest that this is deliberate.
I'm not going to say this is deliberate, but I'm taking an exception to the president's directive. The president's directive. What? Okay, fine. So be it if that's their take. But in truth, when you come to page 3, before the conclusion, it says non-compliance that led to a shortfall of 146. Well, I would like for you to inquire from the Ministry of Finance the letter ECG wrote to them.
What did you write?
How much?
What did you write to them?
Money? No. You know, the more I keep defending myself, the difficult it gets.
But also,
and you know, look, my mother always said one thing to me. She said, when lies or untruths start running around, that is when truth itself is lacing its boots. Now I have to play catch up to something like this. I now have to sit down with everybody and discuss what operationally we are doing and how we are trying to think outside the box and how we are trying to make sure that at every given point in time, our development partners are comfortable.
I mean, Mr. Dubig Mahama, specifically though, beyond the IPPs, the PURC also catalogs another instance of you not complying with the guidelines when it comes to the other players in the sector like VRA and Gridco. The allocation there was 307 million, but you only pay them 162 million.
Yeah, that's the one I showed you, and I said that is on page 3, just before the conclusion. I said 146 million. Let's say 147 million. And I said that figure is PURC trying to say that they have never gotten a letter from me telling them that we've used money for X, Y, and Z as instructed, and that we are waiting for the money and we disburse the money.
So you spent that money on something else and you were instructed to do so, and that's why there was a shortfall.
Exactly.
Well, what did you spend the money on?
We spent the money on fuel.
Okay, so that's what you explained earlier. That's what you explained earlier, that the finance ministry asked you to spend the money on fuel.
Yes.
And you haven't been reimbursed.
Not yet.
Okay.
Granted, but you see, at every given point in time, you must know that ECG's obligation is to the average Ghanaian. If you are to sit down for the bureaucratic measures at the top to be completed, for money to be disbursed from the controller's office to, let's say, a fuel supply and all of that, that means people are going to stay in darkness. And that's not what we want.
By the way,
limited liability company.
But by the way,
with the requisite,
all the explanations you've given as to why there's been a shortfall, this is a regulator. If indeed the finance ministry has asked you, and the regulator regulates everything that happens in the industry.
Yeah.
And the finance ministry indeed asked you to spend money elsewhere and you'll be reimbursed. In fact, to be very specific though, and this PURC statement also highlights the role that the finance ministry was supposed to play, right?
Yeah.
In terms of a certain shortfall that they were expected to make up for that is yet to be covered. And my colleague Kofi said, how much is involved here?
So, Evans, according to the PURC, the Ministry of Finance expected to release an amount of 200.3 million Ghana cedis in accordance with the cash waterfall mechanism guidelines approved under the module. So this is to make up for shortfalls in the level B category beneficiaries to ensure that no arrears accumulate in the power sector. Yes, according to the PURC, the Finance Ministry has not paid up the shortfall since August.
How much again is this?
200.3 million Ghana cedis.
But this has nothing to do with fuel, is it?
It's payments.
But where did the money go?
Just a second.
If 146 is the gap, let's not play mischief with this thing. If 146 is the gap, and I'm expecting 200 million, what would then be the success story here? Wouldn't it be a plus?
So, just to clarify again, Samuel Dubig Mahama, are you saying categorically the PURC, in compiling this report, not once sought your opinion on the matter?
I am saying categorically, one. The report says what the 200 has not been paid. The shortfall on the category B, guys, is 146. When ECG receives that 200, ECG will disburse it accordingly. ECG is doing its possible best under the sun to comply with every rules and regulations given to ECG. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the staff, management, the President of the Republic, the board, for their massive support and the confidence that they give to this company. Because without their help, we will not be where we are. It has been a very, very, very challenging period. But as they always say, it always has to get worse to get better. So we are on track.
And with the IPPs, this forest reconciliation you're doing, when do you hope to wrap up so you pay them what you're due?
We're done. So we pay them what they're due. In February, we've paid them. So let's wait for the February report.
So you've paid them now?
Yes. No, so what happened is, so now they know that every year, January, whatever revenue we have in January is to take care of their forex losses for the year, the previous year.
So just to be clear, you do not owe the IPPs as per this recent arrangement with the remaining
If I answer right now, you tell me I'm speculating. Why don't you call any of the IPPs?
Okay, stand by for me. Eliklem Akpetobo is the CEO of the Independent Power Generators Ghana and joins us on the line right now. We'll get the clarity from him. In fact, he's on now. Let's speak to him. Hello, Eliklem. Thanks for your time here on Top Story. Hello, Eliklem. Thank you for your time here on Top Story. Can you hear me?
Yes, please. I can hear you.
Okay. Are you owed by the ECG?
Yes, we are owed.
And I'm referring to the recent renegotiated terms. That meant they would have kept current paying you $43 million every month. That's the arrangement I'm referring to. Are you owed under that arrangement?
Yes, we are owed way beyond that. Let me make something clear. The renegotiation is still ongoing. We've not signed off on the discussion going on. The $43 million in question was a proposal to us, the IPPs, to consider in the meantime while arrangements have been made to shore up payment to us.
Okay, I mean, but again, to be clear, this renegotiation was not with all IPPs. It was with very specific IPPs, Send Power, Amandi, Asogli, AXA, and two others. So for these 6, are you certain that ECG has not kept current?
ECG has not?
Kept current?
No.
You're certain?
ECG is not totally current with us.
Okay, so when you say they're not current, let's go back to when this was renegotiated. Between that period last year and now, which months have they defaulted?
We experienced a default in January, actually, when we're expecting their assurance, the promised payment. We did not receive what they promised to us in January. But the rest of the month, they have honored those obligations.
Okay, and that tallies with what the PURC is saying. But Mr. Dubik Mahama says that that was due to the reconciliation based on the forest losses, and that they now make the payments. Are you aware of that?
Not aware of that, please.
Okay, have you checked? And when was the last time you did check?
Oh, we received payment in February. All right, as per ECG's promised.
Okay. So that's the point he's making, that if that payment has been made now in February.
Yeah, we received payment in February.
Does that clear what you were owed in January?
It leaves behind the January payment.
How much exactly are we talking about in January?
Oh, we have various allocations to each of us. So all I would say is that we have not received full payment for January. But like he said, what he paid in January was actually the exchange loss difference. So we have actually not received payment for January. Let me put it that way.
Mr. Dubik Muhammad, there you have it.
Yeah, exactly. He's been honest with you in the end to tell you.
Except that a fundamental point of paying post the reconciliation, he says that hasn't happened.
Asogli and ECG and the government negotiation team have not concluded. You can ask him. So ECG built a model and then told Asogli how much we can pay them on a monthly basis. Because of that, And he really knows very well. Today we were together. We are finding a way to make sure that they sign the document to make it sacrosanct.
So January, just to be clear, you haven't made the payment
January, yet. I told you, January, we are not making the January payment.
Okay, but that is what I was asking you earlier to clarify. When you make the payment, you suggested that has been happening.
Moving forward, there's always going to be a 30-day gap.
Yeah, you explained that, but before he came on, I was asking you, post the reconciliation, have you now paid for January? And you suggested that it has happened.
No, listen, you were not listening again. I said, if an IPP invoice gives me 60 or 30 days, we intend to use it fully to make sure that at every given point in time, there are no forex losses.
Yeah, I recall that. But before he came on, I asked you, you explained that forex losses is what you covered, and you're doing reconciliation. Actually, have you done with the reconciliation? So again, an opportunity to clarify. So post the reconciliation is not done. Is it done or not?
So the reconciliation on our side as ECG, forex reconciliation has been done, and the requisite amount of forex that has to be paid for everybody for last year, we used January revenue to pay for that. Now we started February. In February we started paying. So on ECG side, moving forward, we are not going to every single month is going to have exactly what everybody has been promised.
Okay.
Until such a time that those who have not finished the renegotiations properly with us and have a framework agreement with us are completed. Whatever we promised everybody that came up to the 43 for them to have the confidence, it is going to be continued.
Okay, so but January remains outstanding. When are they getting their monies?
It will forever be a 30-day gap. And
okay, so within the 30 days,
it's not a shortfall.
No problem. So you're saying that you pay them.
If somebody says, if I give you a bill, if somebody says, I've given you a bill, you have within 30 days to pay this bill. I've come to pay one bill. I've come to pay this one. That means there's another 30-day gap. Because don't forget, the cash waterfall is a mechanism. It's not static.
Yeah, I mean, but Dubik, you said you brought this down. Are you using the 30 day or 60 days? Because you said 60 days, and you said you brought it down to 30.
But you see, we are renegotiating everybody's commercial terms. I can't use 60 days across board. Somebody will not agree. So we just decided that, look, let's use a 30-day gap as a company.
So if 30 days, just bear with me. This is important.
Yes,
if it's 30,
no, it's fine. It's fine.
Just for clarity, if it's 30 days and you owe them for January, you've had February, and 30 days has elapsed, as you know.
Yes, so for January you didn't receive, in February.
So you should have paid them by now.
Now what's happening now? So what's happening now? So now going forward, by next year January we have to pay for what? Last year's what? We have to pay for last year. Next year January we pay for this year's forex losses. No, so.
Mr. Petherbo, you've had him there. Yeah, Mr.
Petherbo.
Yeah, but they still want that payment and the structure for January. Mr. Petherbo, you have.
It's Asogli that wants that payment. And if Asogli wants that payment, Asogli hasn't come to sit with me to say they want that payment. And then this will be the first time I'm hearing of it. So then I'll just say on this platform, please, just the same way you guys came here this morning, please come back to me tomorrow morning by 9 a.m. and let's address that issue. Because on my books, every single other IPP that I've had that conversation with, the exception of Car Powership, agreed to those terms. So if Asogli is saying that they don't at this point in time, I don't have a problem. They can come back to the table and we'll find a way to solve that problem. Because on my books, everything from Send Power to AXA, every one of them, and I don't mind you giving them a call. If that is Asogli's position right now, I don't have a problem. They should come tomorrow to my office at 9 a.m. and let's solve this problem.
Thank
you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, you heard him.
Yes, sir.
He says come to his office and get resolution.
Thank you.
But by the way, at the heart of this is the erratic power supply, Dubik Mahama. People are still experiencing erratic power supply. I did over the weekend. Hear a few voices in the last few days talking to us today about the experience with electricity.
It caused a lot of low productivity because during the evening, when we're supposed to have light to work, before the light is off. Government should come out, let us understand. If they are having a load shedding, so we know that this area today, tomorrow, next, we are not going to have light. But this time it's not like that. Before, when main doom source started, they used to make us understand that this area, today to tomorrow, we are not going to have light. So we understand that. But this time it's not like that. We are there, boom, off. Unexpected, boom, off. Before I realize it's spoiling our things at home. So
very, very bad. Sometimes they will take the light off the whole day. Maybe the next day you will come back. You know, we have to charge your phone. We use the light for business and other things. So if it happens like that, you know your business will go down.
It's really affecting a lot of businesses. And when it happens that way, the business will be slow. Even at home, you can see a stressful day, then you get home, there is no light. You can't do anything. Or even work, because it affects work. When there is no light, when a customer can't see the things to purchase. So when it happens that way, the customers will run out because light in the home, basically that's why they can't buy anything, and it's really, really affecting business.
Mr. Dubig Muhammad, Doomsaw is back, is it not?
It's not back. And, you know, I kept on saying, and I've realized that I've been speaking on behalf of the industry. I gave an example that there are maintenance issues going on. As I'm speaking to you, the Twin City plant in Takari is down for maintenance for I think about 20-something days, and we plowed through a few of the days. They are doing their best to come back on. So whenever that happens, that means you do not have a buffer. You have an exact amount of power that you are pumping into the system. Now, I don't want to speak for the other players because I don't want to make a mistake. Let me put it that way. I think for me, as the distributor, I need to start concentrating on distributing the right amount of power given to us and making sure our customers are comfortable. The right and proper channels because whatever power is given to us at the bulk supply point is what we distribute. You understand that, right? So if ECG doesn't have the requisite amount of power at the DSP, it will not be able to distribute the power.
So you have a generation shortfall. You have a generation shortfall.
You don't have a generation problem.
So what is the problem? Why are we having the erratic power supply?
Wait. Even from the document that we started the conversation from, we have seen the amounts of money that have been used to purchase liquid fuel. Okay? So it's not a generation problem.
So what is the problem?
I think the requisite roundtable should be had, because I keep telling you it's a maintenance issue. It's a maintenance issue, but everybody seems to want to prefer doing so, bring out the timetable,
Except that, Dubik, last week when we had the conversation on PM Express, I asked you about the maintenance. You said the maintenance issues are done. You're done with the maintenance, and you are assuring that going forward, the power supply will be stable.
Yes, and I just mentioned to you, let's say at the beginning of the evening, you are looking for a certain amount of power at peak, and you don't have a buffer. Whenever there's a shock or there's a disturbance in the system, somebody will have to suffer. But you do not have that in your contemplation. But in these same days that they are saying, all these customers are saying, there are days that it doesn't happen. There are days that these disturbances do not happen. What our difficulty as the distributor is to actually be able to say that we can envisage that there will be disturbances on the line. We can't envisage that. So we know it's difficult for our customers. We are trying. There are certain areas.
Mr. Dubik, we don't want you to try. We want you to simply give us electricity. I mean, over the weekend, had 8 hours, sometimes 12 hours off. That clearly is something that you should be communicating to me about. That clearly is something that you should be giving me a timetable to help me plan. Even if it's 2 hours, you have the rest of the 6 hours that I'm off to tell me that something has gone wrong. I'm asking you the questions today on Monday, and you knew this has happened over the weekend.
I said, have you checked the ECG app or the website or our social media handles and pages? Evans, when we are doing maintenance work, we put it out there, and you know it.
So the difficulties we've had last week again was down to maintenance.
Evans, I keep saying this. I don't know how many times I should say we are having maintenance issues.
But if you're having maintenance,
but
if you're having maintenance, that is something that is planned. That is something that you can put a schedule to, and tell us so we can manage our lives. It's maintenance. You should schedule it.
That's why I said, have you checked our website?
Yeah,
have you checked the app?
I haven't
because
seen.
Maintenance schedules are put up all the time.
I haven't seen a load shedding management plan then that communicates.
So ECG doesn't say load shedding. ECG on our side, we write and say there's a maintenance schedule or there's a maintenance blah blah blah. These things circulate all the time, my brother.
Well, I haven't seen it, and I haven't seen that. But where is the? I'm asking very specifically for my listeners who are listening to me right now. Where is the plan then that governs that schedule that we can use to plan our lives, say tonight and going forward?
So listen, where do you live? Give me your area. No, you give me your area because we're on open air. Let's say the teams are putting together the transformers for the injections in the areas that are overloaded. When they are done and we are ready to go into a certain area, we publish it on our website. We publish it on our social media handles. We try to make it circulate on all platforms. That from so we do our best to make sure that at when we are putting those schedules out, we circulate it on social media so that everybody is comfortable enough to know.
Mr. Mahama,
from what you're saying, that means those schedules about maintenance is being sent out.
Well, my listeners are joining me with your views. They say they haven't seen any schedule, anything telling them when they can expect to go off and when they can expect to have electricity so they can plan their lives. I mean, I see tons of messages on my list here.
What
do you say to them?
I said just go to the ECG website. You know, I first of all told you that around this time of the day, that is when you know how overloaded the transformers are. We were putting ourselves together to fix this problem. We have the requisite materials, we have the requisite tools to do the injections as quickly as possible. I know the engineering team puts out these, these notices. If your customers are saying, if my customers are saying they didn't get them, then I'm sorry. But all maintenance schedules are put out there. I keep saying there is no do so. But everybody wants to stay with the fact that there's do so. If there's do so, that means there's a generational gap or there's a generational problem. But we keep repeating that there's no generational issue. Evans, there's no generational issue. There's enough fuel. We are generating to the best of our ability. Now, with these localized issues, we've realized how rampant they've become. You have a transformer sitting there, in your mind, it has 75% capacity. You go for routine servicing, you realize that it's now at about 95, 97. Immediately, so now what we've done is to actually find the pockets of areas that need immediate injection. So that we can ease this burden on these areas as quickly as possible.
Well, Mr. Big Mama, thank you very much for giving us some clarity on the power situation. As you can imagine, this is something that all of you have been complaining about over the last few days. And so we needed some clarity with him. And many of you have joined us with your thoughts. And I want to share a bit of that with you on the power situation. Now, you've heard the ECG Managing Director, Big Mahama, talk to us about the power situation, the debt they owe, and the clarity with the IPPs and all. Where do you stand on that? But most importantly tonight, do you have electricity? He says it's down to maintenance and they have a schedule on their website. Have you seen that, by the way? I'll get your thoughts. But there's more news tonight. Plus, we'll be hearing from the Executive Secretary of the PURC, who is going to join us also on this controversy around what exactly they said in their report. The ECG says it's unfair to them and that they were not properly consulted on that particular matter. It all goes down to the supply of electricity to your homes. And here you have Kwesi in Emefa Power. What's Kwesi saying?
It says the ECG boss is trying to manage the entire power sector. That's why he's struggling to answer the questions satisfactorily. He should allow the generators and transmitters to speak for themselves. That's Kwesi in Nungwa sending us that one in. A number of them sending in, messages, I think, and this one says the answer is what President Mahama just said this weekend. These ECG people, once there's no schedule out to customers, it is not a doom. So we are very discerning citizens. You can never fool us again. That's Adonting sending us that one from Da Kuman. And this one says, Evans, tell the ECG boss to stop provoking us. We have paid for the credit purchased, and that's a message there. A number of messages I'm trying to get all together, Evans. And this one also from Efo Kojo. He says, I think the ECG boss should let the cat out of the bag rather than defending the route. Bright Kojo Kwatewu from Way inside Angloga district. That's his message. And what's the power situation where you are listening to us from, and whether you've seen that scheduled maintenance as put out there? We're on the ECG website. But to be fair though, Evans, we've just gone to the ECG website, and I've seen a number of, this is Monday, March 11, 2024, installation of distribution transformers within ECG operational areas. And it goes on to talk about plans for some installation to be done, and that as a result, the situation may result in blown fuses and broken conductors, causing outages, especially during the peak load period, 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. in the affected areas. I'm going down to see if I can find the affected areas.
So this is today?
This is today, 11 March. If today is 11th March,
but remember that the experience I had was
over the weekend. So I was trying to see if there are other ones. I see Friday, 8th March. Okay. Maybe I should go scrolling there. System updates, and also on that website. And it says planned maintenance works at Tema region on Friday, 8th March 2024. And it talks about what you're going to be doing is from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's for Friday, 8th March. And that areas that will be affected, they are listed there. I don't see your area, but I see TIS. I see Don Bosco. This is Tema area, Committee 25, all the way to Ghana Flag, Bulasu, Afienya, and Zongo and its environs. But ECG regrets that. And then I don't know if I could find the one that relates to you and those of us in Odoko official town, but I'm yet to see that. But I see that planned maintenance, today's announcement, that for Friday as well, so for those affected in the Tema
Today's one
area.
is more general.
Yes.
Like the maintenance might affect, fuses, etc. in places. And Emefa, on this particular subject, there's a lot more controversy on this that we need to clear up. I mean, as you know, this doomsaw is one of the things that affects almost everybody. It's a very sensitive subject. But so let's
say almost everybody.
Everybody, indeed. And so clarity is all that we seek on the subject. Let's bring in Executive Secretary of the PURC, Dr. Ishmaelaka, joins us on the line right now. Doc, thanks for your time here on Newsnight.
Thank you very much, Evans.
So the ECG says you've been unfair to them, and that your report that they violated the President's directive is simply unfair, not true.
Okay, so thank you, Evans. Let me give a little history why we even started the cash waterfall and where we are. So before 2019, ECG will buy the power. Times they don't pay some of the generators, the transmission company, but they pay themselves. So government decided that we should have a mechanism, a formula that will ensure that one, there's transparency in how much ECG collects and pay, and two, there's also equity. So whoever brought something to the table, in generating the power we see, the electricity, somebody has to generate that capacity. Somebody has to bring fuel. After that, there's transmission, then there's distribution. So each person, each institution that contributed should at least, even if not all payment, should get something. So in April 2020, they started, and it was working very fine. In fact, nobody heard about anything until ECG informed us that their system had been hacked somewhere in 2022, November, December. Then the cash waterfall payment started becoming a little bit not consistent. So that's the first point. The second point is that ECG was renegotiating with some IPPs. and they had agreed with these IPPs to pay some fixed amount every month. So the cash waterfall, as we had, did not anticipate this renegotiation. So it was directed that PURC should not take charge of the cash waterfall. Now, cash waterfall initially had energy, a committee which is chaired by, first it was chaired by the senior minister, then later by the vice president. Then we had a working group. The working group had representatives from all players within the sector with a coordinator. But last year we were told, that is PURC was told to look at one, ECG's renegotiation. We should also look at the tariffs. We were increasing tariffs to see a realistic revenue ECG can collect, and consider other factors and revise the cash waterfall formula. So that was done. It was presented to all of us, everybody within the sector, to make comments and everything. The formula is published on PURC's website. Now, another thing was that from August last year, PURC was to publish the payments. So first of all, how much ECG collected, how much it paid to level A, that is the IPPs, based on their renegotiation, and how much it paid to level B, that is the state-owned enterprises, VRA, Ghana Gas, and TMPC, GRICO, ECG themselves, and regulatory levy that goes to fund PURC, Energy Commission, and the rural electrification. So this has been published consistently from August till now. These figures, we obtain them from ECG, and when we obtain them, we do validation with the institutions that have received the amount to confirm before we publish.
Yes, but you say they've defaulted. They say they haven't.
You say?
They say you say they've defaulted since August. They failed to comply with the guidelines. They say categorically they haven't. That where they have defaulted is because the finance ministry has asked them to buy fuel, and they're waiting for the finance ministry to make payments so they can settle the gap.
Evans. So the report says, so I'm not saying that you are to pay level A payment, and when you after paying the level A payment, what is left, this is the allocation ratio. If you don't go by that, you've defaulted. So that has to be established. Then we can discuss why you defaulted. So you can't say that I didn't default because finance minister asked me. No, first of all, you didn't go to school. You didn't. Then they ask you why, and you say, oh, maybe A, B, and C was the reason I couldn't go. So consistently, that payment has not been done. Today, I saw in the news that the media have picked up the report. They are on our website. So I don't know where this consultation and not being fair.
On the IPP question, though, they've explained tonight on Top Story and on Newsnight that it is because of the forest losses that they were reconciling. In fact, the IPPs later joined and confirmed that yes, that was part of the reason why January was not paid in full, right? ECG says PURC should have known that, and as part of your report, should have captured that in reporting what you put out in there.
We should have captured what exactly?
That the forest losses reconciliation, for which reason they have not remained current on January.
But why should ECG have forest losses?
They're talking about forest losses in their negotiated arrangement with the IPPs.
But Evans, you are aware that one of the principal aims of the quarterly adjustment is to look at the exchange rate and see the previous exchange rate and the current one, the differences. The tariffs are adjusted to cover these. So for me, in the past, the quarter adjustment was not being done consistently. So we used to talk about forest losses. But with the quarterly adjustment, I felt that issue has been dealt with. It hasn't been brought. As I'm explaining, so we have a formula, all agreed. So if you have issue why you can't comply, do you believe I should come and ask you before we even publish.
Yes.
You make us aware because you give us the data in the first place. We sit down and approve a model before you pay that this is the model. We have ECG representative there at the table. Now the person doesn't say anything. We approve a model that pay VRA 5 million, pay Greco 2. Then the next day you pay VRA 1 instead of 5. You don't say anything. Now based on what you paid, I've written a report that yes, this is what VRA was supposed to receive. But this is how much ECG paid. That is exactly what the report is saying. Where should I go and capture? Okay, ECG did not pay VRA because ECG was going to do reconciliation.
The MD says they weren't necessarily consulted on this matter properly, and that is why their views have not been captured.
Evans, maybe, but I don't know whether you don't understand what I'm saying.
Well, I do. You say you're simply reporting what ECG gives you in terms of what they paid out of the formula.
Has been agreed.
I understand the formula. He says
all of us.
He says
then,
yet in compiling your report.
Payment,
yes, in compiling your report, he understands the formula, but he says in compiling the report, at least before you put it out, seek his view first and get the full picture.
And what I'm saying is that we get the data from the data we use. PURC, we don't pay anybody. We don't pay VRA. So where do we get the data from? It is ECG that gives us the data. The only thing we do is that after getting that data, we write to the institutions to confirm that have you received these payments. And based on their responses. So in the first place, ECG is the originator of the data. So you gave me data, and the same data you gave me, I'm putting it out there, and I should come and call you for a meeting again to ask you what again? That this data, when you were giving me, you thought it was right or it was wrong.
Bottom line, though, once I have you on, you're the regulator. You are primarily also supposed to protect the interest of the consumer here. The reason why this conversation is important is because of what we've seen recently, the erratic power supply. You've heard the people complain that their power is being erratic to their homes. Whilst you deal with this issue around payment to IPPs and other players in the sector, what are you doing, though, to protect the interest of the consumer who is currently possibly somewhere sleeping in the darkness?
Well, we've been engaging ECG for some time. We've been engaging not just ECG, Greco. We know they've written to us about some of the maintenance work they are doing. We also know that especially in the middle belt, Kumasi area, sending some plants, Ameri and others there, we have been told, they've written to us that now I think they've constructed a pipeline to give them gas, and when this gas starts flowing, there will be stability in that area. So we are monitoring, we are engaged with CG, and very soon we will issue an official report on that.
So you're also confirming that what you know and verified why we're having the erratic power supply is because of the maintenance challenges that the ECG is currently having to undertake?
Well, as I said, we are engaging and monitoring at the moment, and come out hopefully by the end of this week. So at this moment, I can't speak what officially for PURC. We should come by Friday. Yeah.
Okay. On your substantive report on the cash waterfall, you stand by your claim that the ECG has violated the President's directive on the mechanism and the guidelines.
On the cash waterfall, as I said, we've agreed on something, and unfortunately, that is not what is being complied with, and that is the only thing I can say. The reports are on the website. You can go there and check them up for us.
Just to be clear, the ECG director says your use of the phrase violates the President's guidelines on the matter. He says it's unfair. You stand by that this is a direct violation of the President's explicit directive on the matter.
So I think when you read the report, what is there is that they are violating the cash waterfall mechanism. Nobody granted an interview to say you violated the president.
Let me read to you. ECG has not complied with the guidelines of the new CMD as directed by the president. That was directed. That was a direct line there, and that's not the only place you made this particular point. You also say, as indicated in Table 3, payments were made to only 4 IPG beneficiaries and the Level A beneficiaries. ECG's non-compliance to the president's directive led to the shortfall. ECG says they take issue with this. Hello, Dr. Ishmalaka.
Yeah, hello, Ivan.
Yeah, there you have it. You're very direct on what this is, that this is a non-compliance, a violation of the president's direct orders.
Yes, so two levels. The first level is that the president directed PURC to revise the cash waterfall mechanism in July. That was done. All sector players accepted it. So if you are not going with according to the cash waterfall mechanism, then you are going against the directive of the president. So as I said, the report indicates, most areas that they are not complying with the cash waterfall. I don't know where you are reading the president directive from, but it makes sense.
Page 2 of your
that
report.
The president directed that this should be going forward the mechanism for payment in the energy sector, and if we follow it, there will be equitable distribution. Everybody will get something. Do some operation, do some maintenance, and I think things will be fine.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Ishmalaka there. There's a lot there that we need to unpack, but at least we have some clarity on this. And George Rafa is joining us with business as we talk about this. And this is one of the biggest issues for the IMF and the World Bank, really dealing with the power sector debt issues and see how it's now become an issue, pitching the ECG against the PURC. Stay with me. Let me get a quick word from Nana Mwesi, who is Executive Director of the Institute for Energy Securities, who joined me now. Nana Mwesi, thank you for your time and for your patience as we listen to both the PURC and the ECG. You've listened to both. Give me your quick reaction. Hello, Nana. Okay, George.
Well, coming up in the business, agric workers cast doubts over second phase of planting for food and jobs, helping to firmly stabilize commodity prices on the market. And $300 million World Bank facility could help deal with the recent pressure on CD and fast-track completion of some stalled projects. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business kingdom. Books and stationery, syntax tanks and Pepsodent, charcoal and herbal.
Can you hear it? The freedom in our songs, the sound of liberty that rings from Kaswa to Karaga, from Tamale to Takoradi. It's in the pestles that pound from coast to coast. It's in the busy offices, the crowded streets, and the noisy schools. It's in the wisdom of our elders and in the laughter of our children. It's in seeing how far we've come and looking at how much we can grow. It's in knowing that still Ghana go be. Happy 67th Independence Day, Ghana. MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHS, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
Hello, Auntie Araba. Hey, Bugger, how are you doing today? I want to buy Pepsodent Cavity Fighter, but I don't have enough money. Oh. So what are you going to do? Can you give me the big size? You know, as for me, I'll pay the balance later.
Today, no credit. Oh. I haven't sold much this morning. If you don't have enough money for the big size, why don't you try the 120-gram pack?
There's a 120-gram pack? Introducing the new Pepsodent Cavity Fighter in 120-gram pack size. More affordable and convenient. Get yours today from any supermarket near you. Every smile matters. This advert is FDA approved.
Water is needed all day, all night. So, remember Syntex tank all day, all night. 7 years warranty. Select any color for free. In no de crack, in no de spoil. Call Accra on 0244 335 168. Kumasi 0505 555 666. Syntex tank. A strong, a tough. Water is needed all day, all night. So, remember Syntex tank all day, all night. 7 years warranty. Select any color for free. In no de crack, in no de spoil. Call Accra on 0244 335 168. Kumasi 0505 555 666. Syntex tank. A strong, a tough.
Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, agri workers are casting doubt with the second phase of the planting for food and jobs, helping to firmly stabilize commodity prices on the market. Government today launched the second phase of the program that would help provide more funding for agri workers. But the General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union, Edward Karawa, says the challenge with prices of foodstuffs on the market is not just a supply issue.
Questions to the pricing of food stuff. And one of them is just the transportation that I have already indicated. You can't take it away. Once fuel prices go up, how is that going to be factored into maintaining the price? If transport fares goes up, how is he going to factor that into it? And the bad roadness rate. So certainly we should not think too much about it. That when we implement it, it is going to stabilize food stuff. No, it is not going to happen that way. I think what we need to do is to create markets close to the sanity.
Edward Karawa is the General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union. Now, industries have given the firm assurance that they will reduce the cost of their produce if the cost and inflation should trend down. It follows concerns that consumers have not witnessed the corresponding drop in prices, with a significant drop in the general price levels of goods and services from last year. But President of the association, that is Humphrey Daka, says that we should see this as if you don't move us in the industries, you'll be priced out of the market.
If you don't do that, competition will take you out. Because if my cost of doing business drops, and I seek to keep it, and my other competitor has a bigger scale of production, drops it. Let me give you an example. So if I produce special ice, and Casaproco also produces water, they both are in the same market. I'm doing 5,000, and he's also doing 1,000. And the same cost of production in water or power drops, and one refuses to drop it, and the man doing the volumes, you knock him out of it and take his market share. So it is of your own interest to keep your market share.
Dr. Humphrey Daka is president of the Association of Ghana Industries. Now, the $300 million World Bank facility to support the 2024 budget could help manage some of the recent challenges facing the economy. Now, this was after Parliament approved the loan agreement last week. Details in this report.
The immediate impact of these funds being transferred to the Bank of Ghana possibly this week will be the Ghana cedi. It will improve the country's international reserves, putting the Bank of Ghana in a better position to deal with the recent pressure on the Ghana cedi. Some may argue the $300 million may not be enough, but looking at the current crisis facing the economy, it may help in dealing with the current challenges facing the local currency in terms of supply of dollars. This is because, with the current depreciation of the Ghana cedi, there is an element of speculation and fears by businesses that the central bank might not be in the position to supply dollars when needed. Another portion of this facility will be used as counterpart funding for some projects that have stalled. Therefore, Those contractors that have not even received payment of work done could be paid. The money being released into the system could also help some of the commercial banks to lend more to businesses, especially at the time that credit extension has hit its lowest, based on the Bank of Ghana's data. Some of the personnel working on these projects could be called back if work on these infrastructure projects commence soon.
And that is a Business Desk report. In the related development, the World Bank Board today has approved some $40 million to support Ghana and 2 other African countries deploy climate tech technologies when it comes to supporting the operations of farmers in Ghana. The farmers in Ghana will be better equipped to predict and prepare for climate-related events in the country. Now, the country director of Neblis Ghana, Sika Kolache, is pushing for more structures in mentoring program to help grow female executives into leadership. She was speaking at the Economic Forum put together by Joy Business and the Ghana Chamber of Commerce as part of activities to celebrate the International Women's Day. She says this is one of the surest ways to deal with some of the things that affect the rise of female executives to the top.
Much as it is being done, I think there's room for improvement because most mentoring programs are not very well structured so that you can say from beginning to end, this is what the impact has been. We don't measure the impact very well. If, for example, at the workplace, every male leader or every leader, both male and female, is assigned somebody to mentor from level A to level B to level C, and the person is measured and recognized for it, I think that would be a good start. So I think there should be clear policies around mentorship in organizations and in workplaces generally, and there should be that recognition for those who participate and do well in it.
And that is Sika Kolache. She's the country director of Enablers Ghana, speaking on the Joy Business Canada Chamber of Commerce program today as we celebrate, and a program that was put together to celebrate International Women's Day. To the stock market, if you are a shareholder in GCB, it was up by 2 pesos to close at 3 Ghana cedis, 42 pesos. MTN was up by a peso and it's now worth 1 Ghana cedi, 50 pesos. To the February month report issued by the Ghana Stock Exchange, Lever was the biggest gain on the market, going up by more than 20%. Standard Chartered Bank facilitated one of the biggest trades on the market for the month of February. And that's all for Business on a News Night. Back to you, Evans.
Thank you very much, George, and I'll share more of your views on this subject of erratic power supply with you pretty shortly, right after this.
Great news is here. Batmat is here again. XXL clearance sale. Guaranteed savings. From now till the end of April, the big sale continues. Get discounts of up to 70% off sanitary wares, light tiles, waterproofing, and all other product families. It's the year to get things done. Visit our showroom at the North Industrial Area next to the Winners Chapel, Ghana. Don't miss out. Batmat, welcome home.
Bet Power is forecasting showers of free bets every day with Aviator Rain. Look out for free bets falling at regular intervals between 10 o'clock a.m. and 2 o'clock p.m. And again between 5 o'clock p.m. and 9 o'clock p.m. with up to 250,000 in free bets given away every day across Africa. Could you rain dance your way to a 3 million win at the home of Africa's biggest ever Aviator winner? Find out at betpower.com.gh. That's betpawa.com.gh. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Bet responsibly. 18 years and above only. Gaming can be addictive. Terms and conditions apply.
And you're still live, your News Night is on Joy 99.7 FM. More of your messages now. And this one says, good evening, Emefa and Evans. This is Albert from Kaswa. Just by 6:10 p.m. Just now, the lights went off in Kaswa. This happens every evening, and the light will come on around midnight. This one says, Evans, the ECG man is trying hard to redefine Dumso. It is Dumso. He says, simplicita in Kaswa. Sam says, Millennium City Estate, we do not have lights every day and night. As I am writing this, the light just went out. And this one in Nungwa says, our light just went off at Nungwa Boade. Daddy Seth sent us that one, a few of your messages there on that conversation with the ECG. Now, the Ghana Medical Association in Kumasi in the Ashanti region say they are highly concerned about the state of the Konfanoti Teaching Hospital, describing the center as unfit for its members. It's been 70 years of neglect coupled with poor maintenance by successive governments. The only period CAF witnessed significant renovation was in 1982 during the Hila Liman administration. The facility currently caters to a minimum of 1,000 patients every day. Public Affairs Manager of the hospital, Kwame Frimpong, tells Joy News, but for the intervention of management, the facility would have collapsed by now.
As a matter of fact, Ashanti region generally has not benefited much from investment in the health sector until recently that we are seeing a number of hospitals coming up.
In the last 67 years of our independence?
Yes, because how come the most populous region in Ghana, we only have one tertiary facility? When the same population in Greater Accra or less until recently had multiples, people are spoiled for choice here. But in Ashanti region and beyond, Konfanoti has always been the only hospital that has been providing tertiary health care. So as a nation, we've not invested much in health care infrastructure generally, but Konfanoti is even worse off because apart from being the only hospital of its kind, without any support, it has been compelled to. The first attempt that was made to get the hospital renovated, we are told, was somewhere in 1981 during the Mensah administration. Subsequent to that, there has been a number of attempts, but none of them materialized.
Despite the fact that you find yourself in a very peculiar environment where you are attending to other regions, but my understanding has always been that Konfanoti was a referral, or is also a referral center. So therefore, some of the cases could go to South or the KNUST hospital. Are they not taking some of the load?
In terms of capacity, now look at Kwelebu. Kwelebu has almost 2,000 beds. Konfanoti has 1,200. Mensah South Hospital, which is acting, because you don't have a regional hospital.
As a regional hospital?
It's acting as a regional hospital. It has 140 beds.
140?
If you come to Accra, Rate has 400 beds. If you go to Tech Hospital has 100 beds. Hospital. If you come to Accra's counterpart, UGMC has almost 600 beds. So the disparity is so stark that no matter what, given the same population that we are catering for, no matter what, these ancillary hospitals that are supposed to Konfanoti.
And that's the situation with the Konfanoti Teaching Hospital. And the Ghana Medical Association has been speaking about this, but also the situation is no different in the Mensah Government Hospital, where management says congestion at the facility is forcing expectant mothers to deliver within unhygienic conditions, including sleeping on the bare floor. I want to bring in now the president of the Ashanti Regional GMA, President Dr. PURC Sibedu. Also, we're learning from the GMA members, doctors in the Konfanoti Teaching Hospital, of a strike that they've called in the next 3 days to deal with some of the challenges that they're also facing, separate from the dilapidated conditions and the challenges that the hospital is currently also witnessing. Dr. PURC Sibedu, thanks for the time here on Newsnight. So, how bad is it? And you talk about the fact that it's not fit for your members to work in?
Yeah, good evening, Evans. As the PR director indicated, I think I just heard you play the audio. Konfanoti has not seen any major renovation, and I'm talking about the main building, the A, B, C, and D, if you've been there. And I think last year, the Heal Konfanoti project was launched to heal the hospital. And if you have been to hospitals in Accra, the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, just consider just that one. I'm not even going to take you to the United States and Europe. Just in Ghana here, compare Kwelebu, compare the Greater Accra Regional Hospital to Konfanoti. And you notice that some of the wards, okay, if I am permitted to see, they may not even be fit for your pets or your pet to live in. But this is where we find health workers, doctors, nurses, pharmacists, waiting and working in such filthy environments. You see, we have had to deliver service, and with all these constraints, I chanced on a news article on your site And that is the reality, data from the National Ambulance Services. Just like the PRO said, if you combine in a week the number of cases we see here at Konfanochi Teaching Hospital per each day, if you combine all the hospitals in Accra, they don't see that number of cases. But we are dealing with patients from all over. But facility-wise, nothing is being done. With the exception of the recently launched Hill Konfanochi, nothing is being done.
And I'm curious.
Again,
I know. Yeah, I know part of the work that you do is advocacy. Have you reached out to the ministry, the Ghana Health Service, and what have you been told in terms of some of the challenges?
With the Ghana Health Service, they have not even been able to renovate their facilities, have they? The Sewua Regional Hospital is for Ghana Health Service. They have not even been able to impress on the powers that be to finish that regional hospital. So if the person cannot impress on his or mother organization to complete their own facility, how would that be? I am aware of effort by Konfanochi management through interaction with the Regional Director of Health on how to reduce the number of cases coming to Konfanochi. But the issue again is the facilities here in the region, especially the one serving as Kwansi South, serving as the regional hospital, does not have the capacity to deal with even the number of cases coming from just that locality alone. But it's a regional hospital.
I take it then that in terms of the health ministry itself, you haven't received any concrete word in terms of when some of these challenges will be addressed, correct?
See, with the health ministry, again, we have abandoned hospitals. The military hospital, which has, I'm sure, more than 200-300 capacity, it's a modern hospital. It's been abandoned for the past 8 years now. The Sewua Regional Hospital, which was, I think, about 60-70% completed, abandoned. And we are all from Great Upper East, Upper West, Northern, Bron East, and Bron Ahafo. We are all relying on Konfanochi. And it's like people are okay, nothing being done here. And they're asking what we have done as an association in terms of our advocacy. You see, we stopped complaining as an association because each time we did, all that comes out, the doctors like complaining, we are lazy, we want money. But it's not about money. It's about having a sound environment to work
in. So you start complaining now. And I have in front of me another letter now, and I see that the GMA Ashanti division is copied in, where some consultants and specialists are now also saying that they have additional issues about possible ejection because of land matters, and they have served notice that they may be withdrawing their services. Can you confirm this?
Yes, so Evans, if you look, my name is there as well. And in fact, the Ghana Konfanochi Doctors Association will be meeting tomorrow morning at 9. And the association, for more indications, will stop working from 6 a.m. on Wednesday. And this I will tell you freely. The reason being that, you see, for the past almost a year, people who have political clout, people who think they can grab anything, everything in the region with impunity, are grabbing bungalows left, right, center, putting up properties in a month or two, including accommodations that were allocated to the hospital.
And because of time, your plan is to withdraw services on
we are going to look for accommodation, because you give me a week to vacate my accommodation because you think you need it. We cannot be healing patients when we ourselves are sick.
Okay, so stay with me, because thankfully, the regional minister, who is also the chairman of the Regional Security Council, is with me, Simon Osemeng. So thank you very much, sir. You just heard the GMA president for Ashanti region. Yes, sir.
I would have preferred he waited on the line.
Okay, he's still on. I mean,
let him be on.
What do you plan to do about their concern?
So that we communicate. Please, let him be on.
He's on. What do you plan to do about their concern?
One, the first place,
if it's about
let me extend my greetings to you, Thomas, and also to react first to some of the things he said. I doubt he's in the region, and I doubt he's ever gone around anywhere. Sewua Hospital is totally complete. All the equipment have been installed. when they were doing the test run of the equipment, they realized the ordinary transformer wasn't enough. The capacity wasn't enough to power all the equipment. So it was agreed that we have to build a new ECG substation. If you recently Otunfo was there, you might have heard it on air. It's 100% complete. What is delaying the commission or inauguration of the project is the ECG substation. And we are building a 20 kVA substation with two 10 kV. They advised us that we should install two 10 kV. One will be purely dedicated to the hospital. Then the remaining 10 will supply the surrounding communities. And in a situation, we don't expect it to happen, but in a situation where the one serving the hospital has a problem, then we switch on to the one serving the community, and we put the community onto the national grid and start working on the 41, so that we don't have a situation where the hospital should cease operation over a period.
Okay, and what is the timeline for this? When do you hope to wrap up?
I'm assuring you by middle of this year, that project, the substation will have been completed, the project will have been commissioned. Even we built a containment center, infectious disease and containment center. It's completed.
Okay. And on the second matter, though, of ejections, which is really why they say they have to now leave and look for accommodation, they may have to, lay down their tools. What do you say to that, though?
Run to the facility. So what he's saying, he doesn't know. He hasn't even got the information. Two, Afari Hospital is saying about 2 beds, 200 beds, 300 beds. Afari Hospital is a 500 bed capacity hospital. And he says it's about 75%. Afari is more than 95% complete.
Yeah, on the second subject, if you may, because of time, on the ejections, he says that's also one of the reasons why they're going to lay down their tools.
And then he's being economical with the truth. Either he lacks information or he doesn't want to say the truth. Evans, this is the situation. There was a Supreme Court ruling that portion of the Nyame Intiayoso land be ceded to Mensah. And that portion that has been ceded to Mensah also has residential accommodation for public officers. And because of that, we have to relocate all of them to the area that is reserved for the government now. And because of that, we are building new residential accommodation. We were given 2 years to complete the process.
Okay.
Now we are left even less than 1 year.
So when that is done, they can move in?
No, yeah, they were moving, but let me clear this side.
I just have a second to wrap up, that's why.
No. Then you are giving me more time because listeners will understand.
So the solution is accommodation.
The solution is that because we know it will take time for us to complete all the new ones, we agreed with the contractors to rent new accommodation for 2 years for them. So that upon completion of the new ones, we will be allocating these ones to them. We've made them, we've made the military, we've made the police, we've made fire service, all the security agencies, all MDAs and other institutions, including Konfanochi.
Okay, so when can they expect that this will be resolved so they can have a place?
What resolved? They want to rent a place for them. They should move because these structures, some of them are on 1 acre plot. Okay. Some of them are about 3/4 of an acre. And we put more structures on these plots so that it can accommodate everybody.
Okay. Simon Mensah, thank you very much for that clarity. And that's it for News Night tonight. And for those of you who wanted an update on the Africa Games, if you if you were participating, for example, in the beach
volleyball.
Beach volley, and you wanted to watch?
Yeah.
What happened tonight?
Well, the final game for Ghana's male team that was supposed to be between with Burkina Faso has been rescheduled when things got dark. You know, the schedule for the games did not include night matches, and because of that, there were no provisions for floodlights, which would be the standard requirements for games that will be played in the night. So that did not happen. But the men's team played 2 matches today. First beat Togo by 2-1, and then later Senegal by 2 straight sets. The female team also defeated the Gambian counterparts by 2-1. So they won that. Abeku Jackson was in the final of the 100 meters butterfly, but it has been rescheduled for tomorrow.
Okay, great. Some good news there. And PMXS is going to talk about all things Africa Games at 9. Enjoy the rest of the day.